What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the latest news from Taipei. A new chip fab is up and running in Japan. It's the first in the country by Taiwanese semiconductor giant TSMC. It's part of the company's closely watched global expansion, and that's pulled in support from both industry and governments. Joyce Zhen reports from Japan's Kumamoto Prefecture.
A historic day for semiconductors here in Japan. The world's biggest chipmaker, TSMC, has formally opened its first fab here in Japan in Kumamoto Prefecture. It's now become the country's most advanced chipmaking facility and is set to give a major boost to Japan's tech industry. Tokyo has been spending billions of dollars trying to revive chip production at home, and it also gave considerable subsidies here to the Taiwanese company. Now, the fab uses TSMC's local subsidiary named JASM, which includes local tech giants like Sony and Denso. And certainly, the sheer scale and significance of JASM is clear. Here at the opening ceremony, Japan's Prime Minister Kishida Fumio sent in a video message saying that he anticipates more bilateral trade between Japan and Taiwan thanks to JASM. Meanwhile, TSMC founder Morris Chang and Chairman Mark Liu thanked Japan for supporting their business here.
Like all residents of Kumamoto, JASM will cherish this land and will work to implement green semiconductor manufacturing, and we will execute effective water recycling and commit to conserving more groundwater than the amount used by our fabs.
TSMC's arrival has transformed this area, which, as you can see, even from the neighbor of the fab, is mostly made up of farmlands. Now, as many as 750 Taiwanese people have already moved here to the Kumamoto area, and that's just the start. TSMC is set to build a second fab here later this year. Now, it's already impacted things like prices and traffic congestion. Some people here are nervous about this speed of growth. Earlier this week, I spoke to the owner of a pig farm just a couple minutes away from the TSMC site, and she says that she's worried that new neighbors may be not used to things like the noise and smell of her pigs. But she did say that she and other farmers are aware that they need to adapt, given that supporting chips is a matter of it's a national policy. And so she is eager to find ways to work with TSMC to find ways that Kumamoto's existing industries can thrive alongside advanced chips. Joseph Wu and Joyce Zhen in Kikuyo, Japan for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan and China are still at odds over the death of two Chinese fishers in Taiwan waters. Representatives from China's Red Cross met with Taiwan's Coast Guard on Friday, but they did not comment on their discussions. The Coast Guard denies China's claims that it rammed the fishing boat, saying it acted according to protocol when the vessel trespassed into Taiwan's territorial waters. Both sides are conducting investigations into this incident amid already tense relations between Taipei and Beijing. The number of people in Taiwan who identify as Chinese has hit a record low. In a new survey by the National Tsinghua University, just 2.4% of respondents called themselves Chinese. That compares to the over 60% who feel they are Taiwanese. About 30% consider themselves to be both. Taiwanese identity has been rising over the decades, while Chinese identity has been dwindling. The survey also asked respondents how they feel about Taiwan's relationship with China. Now, to find out more about identity here in Taiwan, our reporter Leslie Liao spoke with Lev Nachman, an assistant professor at the university that did this survey.
Can you tell us a little bit about the history of this survey and this year's results?
Yeah, so this is a part of an ongoing survey that NCCU's Election Studies Center has been doing for decades now. And really what the results find is nothing new. It's sort of a continuation on the same trends that they've been tracking since the 90s, which is, one, Taiwanese identity continues to go up. Chinese identity continues to stay incredibly low. People still overwhelmingly want the status quo. People do not want either immediate independence or immediate unification. And the people that do want any sort of unification are incredibly low.
Now, as you mentioned, most survey respondents said that they wanted to maintain the status quo with China. When they say maintain the status quo, what does that mean?
Given the fact that we offer a choice between independence, status quo, and unification, we see that people overwhelmingly do not pick independence and do not pick unification, but they want this sort of thing that's in the middle. Now, of course, how exactly people define what they mean by status quo will likely vary quite widely. But the important takeaway is that people do not want any sort of major change to Taiwan.
These days, Taiwan faces many challenges from China, like ally poaching and trade restrictions. When people say they want the status quo, are they expecting more of that?
I think Taiwanese voters have shown time and time again that they are pragmatic, rational voters when it comes to Taiwan's future. And they know that even though this weird, awkward gray zone that Taiwan exists in is not ideal, it allows Taiwan to exist as a peaceful democracy. Even though Taiwan's version of a peaceful democracy comes with all of these caveats like threats from the PRC, its sort of awkward position in international order, all these economic troubles, diplomatic troubles. But at the end of the day, voters know that at the very least, given this situation, we can continue to exist peacefully. And I think ultimately that's what voters want.
Will this survey affect, say, things like policymaking?
I think it's definitely something that people around the world, whether you're in, Taipei, DC, or any other capital, look to this survey very regularly as sort of the data to show what it is that Taiwanese people want. We often talk about how it's very important that we center Taiwanese perspectives and that we center what it is that Taiwanese voters themselves want for their own country. And it's data like this that policymakers around the world can say, look, we should not be trying to rock the boat for Taiwan in any particular direction because we know that voters in Taiwan do not want any sort of major change.
That was Leslie Liao speaking with Lev Nachman of Taiwan's National Tsinghua University. People marched through central Taipei on Saturday in support of Ukraine's fight to fend off Russia. February 24th marks the 2-year anniversary of the start of the war. Rick Lau reports.
It's now 2 years since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, a war that's left tens of thousands dead and displaced millions. Here in Taiwan's capital, Taipei, people are marching in solidarity with Ukraine's fight for freedom.
It is the critical moment that Ukraine has need more support. So I come here for use my take action to support the Ukraine in Taiwan.
Many people here in Taiwan have found a common cause with Ukraine's fight. Taiwan too has a belligerent authoritarian neighbor, China, that also threatens its very existence. Over the last 2 years, Taiwan's government and people have given millions to Ukraine to support a fight that resonates with them. As the war enters its 3rd year, it looks like international support for Ukraine could be waning, and Ukraine is on the back foot as it fights off Russia's invasion. The message from supporters here today: don't give up on Ukraine's fight for freedom. Ryan Wu and Rick Lowett in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The United States has announced more than 500 new sanctions against Russia after the death of opposition figure Alexei Navalny. Key targets include Russian payment systems, military technology, and officials who were involved in Navalny's imprisonment. Navalny died suddenly while serving a 19-year sentence in an Arctic prison. Western leaders have blamed Russian President Vladimir Putin for his death. Russia is also facing sanctions from the European Union, UK, and Canada. A new case of police brutality in Taiwan as prosecutors detain an officer for his part in the death of a man. 3 police officers in southern Pingtung County intercepted and questioned a man they suspected of burglary. The suspect denied the accusations and hurled insults at the officers, which led one to press a baton into the man's abdomen. The police then took him back to the station, where he stopped breathing. He was pronounced dead at hospital. Prosecutors believe the detained officer tampered with evidence, and they are holding him incommunicado. No home and no money. Over 100 Taipei households are still waiting for compensation after their homes sank into the ground last year. Construction in Taipei's Dazi district caused nearby apartment units to collapse last September. The construction company working on the project was found responsible and ordered to pay compensation to the affected families. But Jitai Properties has yet to file the necessary paperwork to begin the payout process. Jitai says affected households can start applying for compensation next month. Taiwan's one of the newest members of the Quantum Computing Club, with a device that went online in January. We take a look at the machine and what it could mean for Taiwan's future. Inside these tubes and wires is a Taiwanese technological breakthrough. This is Taiwan's quantum computer, a scientific feat that puts it in an elite club of countries. Quantum computers can run much faster than conventional or classical computers, and they can solve problems that would leave those computers stumped. using powerful basic units of information called qubits. Their greater computing power can speed up scientific research and create more accurate models. This means more medical breakthroughs and better weather forecasts, just to name two real-world benefits of these computers.
你可以想象，这个可能就像是我们的大脑一样哦。那也就是说，你可以想象，我有时候拿东西啊，我的大脑会告诉我，用左手拿比较简单，还是用右手拿比较简单。
Building a machine like this is tricky business. Key components have to be kept extremely cold to work, close to absolute zero, which is about minus 270 degrees Celsius. A team of Taiwanese researchers came together in 2022 for this project. They finished it at the end of 2023 and brought it online in January this year. Though the project involved collaboration with U.S. universities, the project was Taiwan funded.
不用依靠别人，尽量不要靠着别人，自己有能力独立做出来。
Academia Sinica planned to have a 3-qubit quantum computer up and running by February 2024, but it has blown past that goal with this 5-qubit model, a quantum leap ahead of schedule. Turtle and Chewy, two words that don't usually go together. But in Taiwan's outlying Penghu Islands, these turtle-shaped treats are a traditional Lantern Festival delicacy. Sally Jensen has the story.
No hard outer shells here. Soft and chewy, these are Penghu's traditional turtle cakes. Glutinous rice flour, sugar, banana and oil are kneaded into a dough and formed into a turtle shape before being hand-painted with lucky characters. A staple at Lantern Festival, turtle cakes represent peace, health and good fortune and provide sustenance for those who come to pray. Here in the Penghu Islands in the Taiwan Strait, temples put out turtles of different shapes and sizes as part of celebrations. One local vendor's delicacies have even caught the attention of pastry chefs on Taiwan's main island.
澎湖那个开台天后宫，去年的话送500株到大甲镇安宫，引起他的注目。
But the old Penghu way of making the turtle cake is different from the Taichung way, which uses modern, more commercial methods and ingredients.
糯米粉做的，跟一般西点面包的面粉是不一样的，他们搞不清楚啊哈，搞不清楚这个东西的要怎么特性。
Old school pastry vendors here hope their students from Taiwan's mainland will learn to make turtly exquisite sweet treats for Lantern Festival, not to turn a profit over the meaningful holiday, but to carry Penghu's culinary legacy long into the future. Ryan Wu and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.
The Coast Guard is working to protect a traditional flying fish festival on Taiwan's outlying Orchid Island. The indigenous Dawu people there are celebrating their February flying fish season. They believe these fish are a sacred gift from heaven and prepare for the annual tradition with many rules and rituals. Now, in the previous years, tourists have tried to film the events, damaging traditional boats and interrupting fishing activities. The Coast Guard has dispatched a boat and drones to prevent tourists from interfering this year. The 20th edition of Taiwan's International Orchid Show has officially opened in the southern city of Tainan. President-elect and former Tainan Mayor Lai Ching-te attended the opening ceremony. Lai said he hopes the orchid can become a symbol for Taiwan and pledged to support the industry when he takes office. Taiwan's weather and geographical location are ideal for the orchid industry, which was valued at $220 million last year. 1 out of every 3 orchid plants around the world are from Taiwan. Thanks for joining us for What's Up Taiwan. Visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow us on social media for more of our reports. Now, before we go, check out this guy on a slackline in Estonia. He is sliding over a frozen waterfall in his socks. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
For more stories about Taiwan's fruits, follow TaiwanPlus on social media.